Our next panel, The History of Bingo, includes PowerPoint and video presentation. We will view these before convening the panel. Mr. Eric Casey, will you please present the PowerPoint?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and good afternoon, esteemed associates and delegates to this hearing. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify at this hearing. And thank you also for your flexibility in seating arrangements. I hope this theater-style seating will benefit the presentation, and I hope this will be educational and informative as part of my testimony today to the hearing. My name is Eric Casey. I'm the General Sales Manager with Planet Bingo. Our company is a manufacturer and supplier of electronic bingo and gaming technologies to a global marketplace. We have products on the ground in 3 continents. That said, our primary customer base is Indian country, including First Nations in Canada. Now, my background in the bingo industry goes back to 1989. And for the first few years, I was in sales and operations management of paper bingo factories across North America and Canada, and 2 in the United States as well. In 1995, my focus shifted entirely to the then rapidly emerging market of electronic bingo. And I've been enjoying that career path for the last 14 years. And it's as exciting today as it was back then. I want to add that I was a representative representing the Manufacturers Advisory Group to the Tribal Government Work Group that was in dialogue with NIGC over the last 2 years on the classification and technical standards documents as well. My objective today with this testimony is to present to the Commission a broad overview of the bingo marketplace in general, starting at the very beginning of it and giving you a historical perspective that will help frame some of the evolutionary direction that the bingo marketplace represents and is going through, especially with regards to technology and the fast, rapid change that we are experiencing. So starting right in, I'd like to show you this slide that indicates 4 segments of bingo marketplace as we as manufacturers would look at them. Charitable gaming allowed in 47 states, each one with regulations that vary state to state. In fact, if you put all 47 sets of charitable bingo regulations on a table, you'd see very little commonality between them. There's a lot of variances. The states decide how they want to play bingo. The U.S. military uses bingo to raise money for MWR, morale, welfare, and recreation activities on bases around the world. It's a significant and important profit center to support our men and women at arms. The military has 5 branches. The Air Force, the Army, the Navy, all regulate bingo slightly differently. Tribal government gaming, of course, and then we consider the international marketplace, especially in this day and age, a very vibrant and important marketplace even for us here at home, because we are in the process of cross-pollinating successful ideas from the global bingo marketplace with our own marketplace, and taking some ideas from our style of bingo overseas as well. This gives you a little visual on sort of the shape of the marketplace when we look at bingo halls. And this is numbers predicated on what we would call session bingo, where you're going to have paper and dauber, and probably electronics as well. But we also have to remember, and I'll probably come back to this a few times, that Class 2 games are bingo. Bingo, 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 as Russ said. So paper bingo, electronic bingo, and bingo variations are all bingo, bingo, bingo. There's about 150 what we would call casino bingos. Most of these are tribal government bingo operations, very similar to Sycuan, where you have a session bingo environment outside the theater here, where players 14 sessions a week can come in and enjoy session bingo in a social setting. There's electronic gaming, electronic bingo in play right along with the paper and dauber bingo as well. We call that session bingo primarily. There's about 3,500 multi-session halls in North America. These are halls that play 4, 5, 6, 7 or more times a week. And then there are over 40,000 charitable bingo licenses, and these can range from 1 day a week or 2 day a week charity bingo halls, fraternal enterprises, religious organizations, and civic organizations that have a charitable gaming license to play bingo in their state. And that gives you sort of the broad sense of things. But an interesting number is that one at the bottom. $8 billion is the estimated And it's estimated because not all states report, and tribes don't necessarily report session bingo revenue. There's some documentation on Class 2 machine revenue, but the market is estimated as an $8 billion gross wager. And about $4 billion of that is estimated to come from the 130 or so odd tribal government operations that are running session bingo and Class 2 bingo operations. It's a big number, $8 billion when we talk about bingo. It's a big percentage of the gross wager overall. We're going to start at the beginning. Here's where we trace the roots of our fine industry, bingo, all the way back to Milan, Italy, where a strategy for hiring what would be equivalent to city council was to take 120 different names of people that were interested in applying for the position, put them in a bag, and draw 5 numbers. That's how it started. It, from what we understand, included some side bets from the local population on which numbers would draw or be drawn from the bag. So Lotto d'Italia was born. Lotto is an Italian word meaning destiny or fate. And Lotto d'Italia is actually considered to be the origins or roots of bingo as we know it. It moved into France and it moved into the UK, which wasn't the UK, of course, but it moved into England. And in the 1800s, it spread really through Spain. It's in Norway. It's played throughout Europe. And it's in a 90-number format. This is a look at the card, and that's actually a bingo hall in Rome. But this card, as you can see, is a very different card from the one you'd see here. You know, our 24-number face card with a free space. This is the dominant life form in bingo outside of North America. This is the type of bingo played in Australia, played all throughout Europe, and of course, from Spain, it migrated into Mexico, Latin America, and you'll see 90-number all over. 90-number and 80-number bingo, in fact, are extremely viable products for this marketplace, for the North American marketplace. There's different styles of play, different nuances associated with the way it's played. It has a large appeal to the Hispanic market. If you've not been to bingo halls in Mexico, I suggest you try them. They're beautiful. They're upscale, they're exciting, they're vibrant. And this kind of bingo is very familiar to the Latin American and Hispanic population. It's an extraordinary game that we are looking at cross-pollinating back into tribal government gaming as well. Bingo in America really first appears around the 20s and 30s in carnivals, little carnival games. And it was played on something like this. This is a hard card, and it was played with beans. And in fact, its original name was Beano. It was called Beano. And the man attributed with changing it is a fellow named Edwin Lowe. Edwin Lowe was a toy salesman that saw the game being played in carnivals. It's still played in carnivals, in fact, and decided he could make this into a profit center. So partnering up with a mathematician from Yale, Carl Leffler, they created, by hand, without the use of computers and algorithms, 6,000 unique face cards. Interestingly enough, those same 6,000 cards that were formed back in the 30s that are differ from each other, unique cards, still form the basis of the 1 to 9,000 bingo perm in play at virtually every bingo hall in America today. Now, of course, we have in paper form over 100,000 unique face cards in play, and in electronic form, our company, for example, has a 1 million card perm, where every card is different from the other. And that's what we use to load into the electronic bingo devices that we support. Church bingos in Pennsylvania in 1934, 10,000 games a week, you can see things just started to really roll. And this is where I would call it the first round of technology enters the picture. If I'm playing this in a church, or I'm playing this in a carnival, or I'm playing this anywhere, and I'm covering my numbers with beans or chips, and I bump my card, I'm in trouble. Those beans are all over the place. Chickens are after the corn. So I can only play what I can manage, what I can watch. Technology entered the picture. Shutter cards. Shutter cards that allow you to slide across that card, and some may remember this, because we didn't really get rid of these darn things until probably maybe mid-80s is when they first started to really fade away, and there's a few bastions of shutter card play out there still. They get really gritty and really unpleasant to look at. But these allow you to play fast. I could play 2 or 3 or 4 shutter cards with this simple little sliding technology without worrying about losing my numbers or having someone jog my card and knock my chips all over. What happens when I can play more cards? I can buy more cards, I can spend more money. There's more money now available for the prize fund. And so the whole food chain starts to escalate. Everything starts to get more interesting now. The players can play more, they're spending more, put more to the prizes, that feeds the spend, here we go. And the industry really starts to take off with that unique little piece of technology. So we call that sort of the Stone Age of bingo, the shutter cards and the hard cards. We entered the industrial age in the 40s. The industrial age is characterized by consumable newsprint and dauber-based bingo. And that's a really interesting step up too. It's technology, it's printing technology, web-based technology, and it's ink in bottles that you can daub with. Wow. So when these inventions, when these technologies hit the marketplace, the world changed again. Now I can daub 6, 12, 15 cards fast. I can buy more, spend more, prize boards go up, feeds the spending money. And the bingo industry really starts to take shape as a dramatic revenue producer for the organizations and entities involved in it. The bingo culture emerged, and it's a social culture. You know, player against machine is player against machine. Player in a bingo environment tends to be very social, and they tend to sit there with their mates and have fun. If you do go overseas, or you do go to Mexico, you're going to see environments where it's almost like a discotheque. And in fact, at the very end of my presentation, I'll make reference to some of the initiatives in tribal government gaming right now in America that are producing brand new players from our baby boomer, our Generation Y, Generation X population in bingo by changing the way the game is presented in their facilities and with other entertainment values mixed in. But that bingo culture was an important culture because it was a big population bubble, and it was characterized by two things: an age demographic of about 55 that had time to be in the bingo halls and had money to spend in the bingo halls, disposable income, an older population. As that population aged, it wasn't coming as frequently, the players didn't come as frequently, and we weren't replacing them, so bingo contracted. And it was right in the whole decade of the 90s that we saw acme of bingo and then contraction of bingo, along with expansion of other entertainment values and casino games. The demographic of the bingo player changed, and our industry didn't change fast enough to meet it. And so there was a major contraction of bingo during the late 90s especially. But we addressed some of that. Some of that was addressed with technology, critically with technology, and I'll explain that in the next slide. Consumable player interfaces, because that's what they are. This is a player interface, this is a player interface, and the paper bingo is a player interface. The machine that I sit at and touch on screen, 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, doesn't matter, it's my player interface to the game of bingo. And these consumables sped up that gameplay again, as I mentioned. But in the 80s and 90s, electronic and computer technology really started to move. The first electronic bingo handsets really appeared in the late 80s, around 85, 86. And I'll let some of my elders that will be here in a few minutes discuss some of that time because they were there for it. The first handsets that appeared in the 80s were primitive technologies, kind of like Robbie the Robot, if you remember that, and some of the early science fiction. Very primitive, fixed font, dot matrix LCD, not a lot of entertainment value, but they could play electronic bingo cards. But it was just the beginning of the computer age, the information age. The acceleration started in the mid-90s. It really started to take off right about when I got into it in 95, 96, and there were a lot of different reasons for that. One of the reasons was that you couldn't resist technology anymore. The players had said, that computer is not bingo to me. Well, now they were surrounded by cell phones. They were surrounded by emergent computer technologies, and resistance was futile. So bingo players that were resistant to using technology to play started to melt away, and we started to see a very rapid proliferation of electronic bingo throughout the entire marketplace. This is technology, and if you look at the center point there, that's what we call a squirrel cage. That's one of the older types of bingo blowers, where you drop your old wooden balls in, you turn it once or twice, you pull a ball out. Well, technology evolved, and we went into some very dramatic presentations that are both aesthetically pleasing, provide good ball draw, and in some cases are driven by very sophisticated computer interfaces. We can interface blowers to point of sale to create closed loops so that when you verify your card tonight, you know it was sold tonight on the floor. Things like that were really beneficial for us because those types of technologies allowed us to add to the integrity of this marketplace and this game entirely. Point of sale is another one. We went literally from cigar box cash management to sophisticated bingo management systems that can provide all sorts of different attributes, including membership programs, ways to enhance customer relationships, reports and analysis. Our system offers 350 different types of reports that you can pull out of it to extract information about balancing and cash and player frequency and you name it. Inventory management and control, improving labor efficiency. These are all benefits of technology that impacted the bingo industry in a good way. and they're very critical to self-regulation. What we call Class 2 gaming interfaces, and it's a misnomer that we all have to continually remind ourselves. Class 2 gaming interfaces. This is a Class 2 gaming interface. And this is too, and so is the paper, and so are these products right here. So these Class 2 gaming interfaces that you see here, portable, you'll see the two or handsets on the bottom, the one on top. Those are portable products that can play a lot of cards in a lot of unique ways. They can do everything you can do in session bingo and more. They're exciting, they're vibrant, they appeal to a lot of different personalities. Older players actually start to take to these products because they can keep up now. They can play where they were slowing down before. It takes the stress out of the bingo game. Young players just like technology, just plain like technology. So we saw a proliferation of electronic bingo technology from the 90s forward. We saw an acceptance of technology from the 90s forward that continually increased. The rule of thumb used to be, when we went into a new facility with electronic bingo for the first time, we would take average attendance and put in 30% in the number of handsets, for example. So if 100 players are on average in your facility, we'll bring in 30 handsets to start. At this point in time, we're up to 50, 60, 70% in terms of the penetration of the units, and that's because of the player acceptance level. Fixed base units, we call them, are represented by that computer on the far left, and that is a portable computer terminal or a fixed terminal that sits on a desk, is hardwired to a network, and provides a great deal of power and entertainment value in what it can drive with big screens. However, handset technology and the portability factor, being able to sit anywhere I want to play, has certainly superseded the market desire for that kind of product. But if you skip across to this machine on the right, that's a bingo machine too. That's a bingo machine too. That's a player interface playing a common game of bingo as well. I'll show you another picture to illustrate that in a second. So here is kind of a recap of what we've talked about so far. The industry in motion. Looking from the 1900s, you'll see the decline of the hard cards and shutters, the rise of newsprint, the pinnacle of newsprint in the 90s, and now the gradual decline of newsprint as electronics in yellow starts to really pick up the pace and accelerate into it. We don't have all electronic bingo halls in a session bingo environment yet, and there's only one reason for that, because the average ball call is about 15 seconds, and to play it electronically is boring, quite frankly. In the European marketplaces, they're going all electronic as quick as they can, because the average ball call in England, for example, is 1.8 seconds, and that's just the way they play. So, but there's differences and changes there. These are just three important benefits that I always like to reiterate. You know, electronic bingo offers new ways to present a very old game. It offers new entertainment values, and it does appeal to a younger generation. It's very important to us to keep this vibrant and to keep this industry strong, and we need to get new players in the door and give them the kind of experience that they're gonna want to come back to. And electronic technology has been a very critical piece of that solution. It removes the physical limitation on the number of cards a player can play, which unleashes the spending power of the player, which is important in terms of the revenue creation for the organizations that rely on bingo, whether it's tribal government or charitable or U.S. military. Being able to market your product freely to the player and let them spend not what they can physically play, but what they want to play is another one of the pull the lid off and open up the marketplace to a new way of looking at doing business. And it also serves players with disabilities, a very important point. Electronic bingo has been critical, and the evolution of electronic bingo has been critical to keep this $8 billion industry competitive and to keep it evolving necessarily and morphing as the rest of the world morphs around us. I just threw that in there just to show you that with bingo, we can create a customer experience that is very special, it's very unique, and it's extremely complementary to casino gaming. Casino and bingo work together like two sides of a coin, and people will come into bingo, relax, socialize, hit the machines on the way in and the way out, that sort of thing. There's a lot of examples of how synergy between bingo and casino work together in tribal government operations. Players Club cards, which are a function of the point-of-sale system, are interfaceable to casino clubs, and so you can track your players from the machines to the bingo and back, and see where the spend is going, see where the time on machine is going. This is an example, well, I was almost right on top of the tiger there. This is an example of a fixed-based presentation from Video King, picture-in-picture. You'll see this on the floor at Sycuan's beautiful bingo operation as well. Players can watch TV. They can sit and watch their favorite shows while playing bingo. Isn't that great? Because they're coming in here to relax and enjoy and unwind, watch some TV, play some bingo. That's just great customer satisfaction. And the presentation is fantastic. This is a simple explanation of what we call Class 2, but it's all Class 2, what we call result presentation bingo. That's a term I believe was coined by Gordon Graves of Multimedia Games. And I was on a panel in, I think it was 96 or 7, in Las Vegas, and we were talking about this electronic bingo world. And I was sitting next to Mr. Graves, and he did a presentation on this concept that was about to hit the marketplace. And it was called result presentation bingo. And that was like a lightning bolt that hit me. Skip Lanyard from Multimedia, who'll be up here later, he may correct me on the date of that seminar, but that was an epiphany, because when Gordon Graves announced the technology is here to give us result presentation bingo, everybody said result presentation bingo, he made it so simple. He said, yeah, we're gonna take the result of the game of bingo, the line bingo, the crazy kite, the letter X, and we're going to show that result as a symbology, as a spin of a reel. It's an entertaining display. And the technology progressed to the point where, if I wanted to, I could hide the flashboard, I could hide the bingo card, and I could look at the entertaining display only. Why not? The game of bingo is still there. The game of bingo is still going on behind the scenes. The entertaining display does not affect the game outcome whatsoever. That's one of the reasons that the NIGC had a problem with it. They wanted to be able to walk in and say, that's not a game of bingo. They didn't want to touch the screen and maybe see the patterns that were at play behind the scene. But it's there, it's all there, and it's very simple, and there's no fine line required for that. The next step ahead is what we call diverse gaming content. We now have architecture in hardware that supports portable wireless gaming in a secure environment. It's very new. The last 12 to 18 months, we've taken gaming into a whole new world of wireless portability with security and integrity of the architecture. And so now what we're doing is we're bringing content to bear in that environment. And you will soon see, and we will all be soon contemplating, the challenges associated with presenting both Class 2 and Class 3 through the exact same gaming system architecture in one portable wireless environment. That should get our test labs rocking with excitement, because there's going to be a whole new trail to blaze on that one, and it's here. We've launched in the UK with content which would be considered Class 3 on a bingo system as well. So that's what's coming, and it's coming fast. This is the last part of my presentation, and I just want to kind of wrap this up to say that it's not just, this is a very evolving industry, and I could take you to a number of tribal government operations in America today that are saying bingo is flatter up, casino is flatter down because of the economy. Bingo, we've always said, since I've been doing it since '89, is a recession-proof industry. Not quite. This has been a really tough one. It's been a tough one, and there's been a big tree shaking going on. We had, a lot of challenges with regards to consumers tightening their belts, spending a little less. But there simply isn't a better entertainment value than bingo. You can go in for a few hours and for a relatively few dollar and sit there and get away from your troubles and enjoy yourself, have fun, socialize, play bingo, and have a chance to win money. Can't do that at the movie theater. Can't do that at the bowling hall, but you have a chance to win money. And bingo, being positioned like that in these challenging economic times, is actually seeing growth, in some cases double-digit growth. So that's an exciting thing that has launched an aggressive campaign to rejuvenate our industry from the inside out. These are charitable bingo halls, and this probably represents about 99% of the charitable bingo halls in North America in terms of the look. Now what you see is, instead of that, and instead of that, that's what you get when you walk in. It's a 500-seat hall. I won't belabor the audience with a lot of design details and aesthetics that are going into some of these changes, but I do want to say that some of the first rounds of these changes started with Mystic Lake, Shakopee up in Minneapolis. They've gone into Casino del Sol and Muckleshoot and Swinomish, and what's happening with this is that we're changing the environments that bingo is played in, and we're adding in some new aesthetics, some color psychology. We're adding in some attributes that simply weren't considered as part of the bingo experience before, and into that injecting a whole new experience that is attractive to young players. If anyone has a question about this, I would suggest go to mysticlakebingo.com, and you will see a video that's been placed up on their website of what they call Cosmic Bingo. It's setting the world on fire. It's spread exponentially now through Indian country. It's an experience that's played on Fridays and Saturday nights. It's bringing in 500 people, standing room only crowds. It's taken on not the dimensions of an event, the dimensions of a true product. It's 18 months old. It's continuous. They have to sell tickets now. Young people have embraced this bingo experience, and they're coming to it in droves. That's the Mystic Lake Bingo Hall at night, and it looks like a disco because it is. They have, if you didn't believe that you could call balls and verify cards while Metallica was playing, you got to go to Mystic Lake to see it, because it works, and they are coming in like crazy. So we're getting this young crowd in. It was just the subject of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and CBS has picked it up, I believe, as a national news broadcast, a focus on this experience. It's a renaissance. It's a rejuvenation of our industry, and it's holistic. It's technology, it's packaging, it's approach, it's style, and it's vibrant, and it's important to keep us growing and going forward. That's my presentation on the history of bingo, and when our panel concludes, we're going to take questions, I believe, from the audience for all of us. I want to segue, though, while we still have everybody in theater seating, into sort of an introduction to the next segment of this panel's presentation. My colleague from Video King, Mark Newton, is going to talk about bingo types of games and games similar to bingo, and show you some of the most incredible diversity of game types that are out there under the banner of bingo. This is a very important consideration. We're going to now drill down into the types of games that are out there. And many of the games that you're going to be hearing about existed pre-IGRA. And that's an important consideration. They were already in the marketplace. They were already there before IGRA was written. And Mark will come up and do that after, but that pre-existing status is very important. And I'm going to use that segue, and again, while everybody's in theater seating, to let a video roll, if IT can hit that button. And we're going to show you a video from 1987, Mark, is it? 1987, pre-IGRA. It's a bit of a marketing video introducing one of the very first electronic bingo card minders. Watch for some familiar faces in this.
Millions of people in communities all across America spend money playing bingo, a game that has generated revenues of billions of dollars. Now, this game is big business, and tens of thousands of organizations are benefiting from the bingo phenomenon. But as the popularity of bingo has grown, so have the challenges facing the bingo hall manager. These challenges are easily identifiable. First, increasing game security, and second, deriving more income for your operation. Now, Bingo Brain Incorporated introduces a portable, easy-to-use, and inexpensive answer to each of these challenges. The Bingo Brain Personal Bingo Card Manager. In managing the security of your game, you are probably aware of the difficulty that many games have had with players altering the cards. Nelson Johnson, Deputy of the Office of Public Gaming for Creek Nation Bingo in Tulsa, Oklahoma, explains one of the challenges that faces the bingo industry today.
Well, I think one of the very important factors in having good security is that you gain the confidence of your patrons. The security, as in any industry or any activity that generates a lot of cash, that has a cash flow, such as bingo, you have people that are always trying to beat the system. They use mechanical devices. Well, I say mechanical devices like they clip numbers, paste over numbers, use any kind of system that they can to increase their edge.
Equip your floor walkers with the Bingo Brain Card Manager to improve security in your hall. When a player calls out bingo, it's easy to verify the winning card. The floor walker just enters the free space number into the Bingo Brain Card Manager, and the correct card shows up in the display. Then, a quick comparison of the display with the winner's card will reveal if the card has been altered. When used this way, the Bingo Brain Card Manager becomes the lowest cost verifier on the market today.
The Bingo Brain is going to be relatively inexpensive, and it is portable enough that every floor worker can carry one around with them.
Well, that solves one challenge, but let's take a look at the second. The Bingo Brain Card Manager increases your hall's income 3 ways. Bingo Brain dramatically increases your average cards played per person. You control the number of cards which may be played with Bingo Brain and can gradually increase that limit as players' acceptance grows. Bingo Brain allows anyone to play up to 96 cards easily and accurately.
You always have the player, though, that wants to play more cards. And you will hear in many of the bingo halls players hollering to slow down.
As a card manager, Bingo Brain helps players prevent missing bingo during play, and at the same time increases card sales in your hall as the player's confidence in playing more cards increases.
I really think the Bingo Brain will revolutionize the industry much as paper has done over a period of time. When you went to paper, all of a sudden you had a tremendous explosion in the amount of cards that people played because they could more easily track the cards. It was in a smaller amount of space. You could put more people at a table. As a result, the prize level went up. The more cards people play, they're going to continue to pay higher and higher prizes. So the Bingo Brain, I would envision, do basically the same thing.
Increased income from more card sales is not the only income benefit you have in introducing Bingo Brain to your hall, however. As a hall operator, you can rent Bingo Brain to your player for a small fee at any playing session. Or you can provide it free to the player with a specified number of cards to be purchased. When your customers understand how to operate Bingo Brain and want to purchase one for themselves, your hall will gain additional profits off the sale of each Bingo Brain. And Bingo Brain is priced so that many avid bingo players will want to own one.
In this particular case, the operator can buy the device, actually allow the players to use it free of charge because he'll get a pickup just because they are able to play more cards. And I think players would be willing to pay something to use that device. And so over a period of time, he gets his investment back plus the additional pickup of more card sales.
I mean, now if she can rent that thing, I think she's going to give it a try. And I think there's a lot of halls who know through experience if they're first in an area with anything new. Like we've had them write letters in when they bought our new Autotronic blower and flashboard. And we've had them say, gosh dang, the players all appreciate it, and we had a lot of extra people in. It's a small knit group of people who play bingo, and word of mouth passes real fast.
I would think that card sales would actually increase overall. Simply because the purchase of cards to be played in conjunction with the device increases since the players can play more cards without missing a bingo. As a bingo aid, to help the player not miss bingos, I believe that the player resistance will be very minimal, actually. User-friendly. In other words, it helps the player play the game, instructs him, gives him prompts, directing him on how to play. And is a bingo aid. It does not play bingo by itself.
The Bingo Brain Card Manager plays marker cards, paper cards, or shutter cards with the unique card library cartridges. Plus, it plays thousands of game patterns. Bingo Brain will supply you with cartridges for the type of cards played in your hall. Players love the Bingo Brain Card Manager because it allows them to play more cards, up to the hall limit.
Now we've got a machine that it looks like is going to be able to do everything that the bingo player is going to want to do, and that is to be able to play more cards, more convenient, not having to worry about missing a bingo because they're playing so many cards.
Bingo Brain is as easy to use as an everyday calculator. It will assist the player by managing their cards, allowing them to play more cards than they've ever been able to play before. Your player can enter those cards into the Bingo Brain in a matter of minutes before the session starts. Let's look at how easy it is to use Bingo Brain. Load the cards by entering the center free space number. With paper cards, after the initial sheet is entered, one center number creates all the cards for the following sheet. The second step is entering the game pattern. Bingo Brain has pre-stored in its memory all of the most popular game patterns. Just select the appropriate pattern from the convenient game pattern index included with each Bingo Brain. Bingo Brain is capable of handling thousands of game patterns, including double and triple bingo, progressive bingo, and multi-card bingo. Now, All that is left is to enter the numbers as they are called and mark your cards. Bingo Brain will instantly indicate how many of the cards had hits and displays the card which is closest to a winning bingo. And Bingo Brain will let the user know which of their cards has a bingo, so they'll never miss a winner again. Another advantage of Bingo Brain Card Manager is it doesn't change your game. It doesn't change the way you sell cards or markers, call the numbers, or conduct the game. Players continue to buy and mark their cards. You don't change a thing. You just sell more cards. Players using Bingo Brain can play right alongside players who don't. But even if a small percentage of your players rent or purchase Bingo Brain and subsequently play more cards, it will increase your income dramatically.
The Bingo Brain is not going to make any difference. You're still going to be using the same permeation as you would if you were playing on all hard cards or all on paper. It doesn't make any difference. It's just the Bingo Brain is able to keep track of all those numbers and let you know when you do have a bingo.
Bingo Brain Incorporated provides you with the marketing support system that will generate more income for your organization. Bingo Brain Incorporated provides instructions for an easy-to-implement program to rent Bingo Brain Card Manager to your players. Your organization can return its investment in Card Manager rental units in just 3 to 16 playing sessions. The rental program will also stimulate sales of cards, markers, and of the Bingo Brain Card Manager. Bingo Brain provides you with attractive posters to tell your players that the Bingo Brain Card Manager is available for rental or for sale. Bingo Brain's eye-catching automated point-of-sale display will demonstrate the simple-to-use features of the Bingo Brain Card Manager. The display comes with 2 Bingo Brains. Consumer brochures stocked in the display provide sales emphasis on player benefits that make the Bingo Brain Card Manager practically irresistible for the avid player. Professionally produced videotapes stimulate sales and rentals and provide in-hall instructions to educate your players on using the Bingo Brain Card Manager. When introducing the Bingo Brain Card Manager, we recommend halls set a limit of 36 cards that players be allowed to play. Now, as use of the device becomes accepted by players, your hall can gradually raise the limit. Market research shows that small card players accept Bingo Brain because it is a backup to the player to help assure that they don't miss a winner. The fact that it allows them to play more cards is viewed as incidental, as long as the ability to play more cards is not the main emphasis given in marketing and sales.
Bingo Brain should be introduced as an assist to the player in playing bingo and not missing bingos, helping the player to play more cards while at the same time eliminating the problem of missing a bingo when you play a great number of cards.
Bingo industry experts agree. Bingo Brain is a revolutionary opportunity for you and your hall.
I think it's real easy to use. So I think the first use of that will be by the operator, by the caller. And I think gradually, as the players see him using that thing, I think that is going to stimulate a lot of interest in, well, gosh, is that something we could use ourselves?
With proper introduction, we don't believe that the Bingo Brain really alters the way bingo is played traditionally. It's simply a device that allows the player to play more cards and not miss bingos.
This is an industry that has expanded and is growing by leaps and bounds, and I think that it's like any other industry. If we don't get into the computer age, then we're going to be left behind.
The biggest thing that probably excites me about the Bingo Brain today is I would envision, as far as my business is concerned, we're going to see a lot higher paper usage because people are going to play more cards.
Well, there you have it. The Bingo Brain Card Manager offers you, the bingo hall, advantages as a verifier and as a card manager. Now, don't you get left behind. Bingo Brain is available from Bingo King. Call your Bingo King representative today at 1-800-525-8380.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, thank you very much for your indulgence. This is a rare archival pre-IGRA presentation, and it has been entered as evidence to this hearing on behalf of Mark Newton from Video King. Thank you very much for that. We're going to go ahead and resume traditional seating and continue with this portion of the panel. And we'll be talking again next about types of bingo and games similar to bingo. I would just like to preface with one final statement in that regard. The classification standards that the NIGC attempted to promulgate and were pulled off the table at the last minute, essentially, would have imposed definitions on bingo. And when you see the diversity and you think about having a federal body impose restrictions and limitations on that diversity, there's an interesting takeaway there. Tribal government bingo, in fact, if those classification standards had have promulgated, would have been handicapped and competitively disadvantaged, even to charity halls. And so that is an important consideration to have in mind as the next portion of the presentation continues. Thank you very much.